abilities
do you need Western boots on the ground? Is that what you want to see? A return of US and UK?
Not. Number one, we don't need the boots on the ground because we have 1 million men under arm.
The Iraqi armed forces.
Iraqi armed forces. And also, no country has offered us any boots on the ground.
You talk about Iraqi armed forces. Are these the same Iraqi armed forces who in June this year, after billions of dollars being spent on them by the West, 2 divisions, a total of 30,000 soldiers, fled in the face of just 800 ISIL fighters, literally dropped their weapons, changed their clothes and ran away?
Well, this is oversimplification.
Blunt and honest about the problems in the Iraqi armed forces now. Do you regret, are you a little bit embarrassed saying in January on CNN that Iraqi security forces will prevail? We have the best counter-terrorist forces in the region. They ran away.
Well, there was a trick used against them, and it was a media campaign which basically to demoralize them. And that was
a campaign by ISIL.
Well, by ISIS, because they are very, very good in media and in the social media.
Yes, they are. On the subject of boots on the ground, you've also said in the past that you won't, quote, accept any foreign boots on the ground from the regional countries. But that's not true because Iranian troops are on the ground in Iraq, aren't they? You have no problem with Iranian troops coming in to fight alongside Iraq.
The United States government 2 months to respond with abysmal airstrikes against ISIS in the north, and 3 months in the south. Now it took the Iranian only a day. They sent a planner and they sent a helm. They have defended Baghdad.
And you're okay with that, those foreign troops coming in? You're fine with those particular troops?
No, we're not talking about troops.
Okay, the Quds Force, the Revolutionary Guards.
No, there are no Quds Force boots on the ground in Iraq. So there are planners.
So General Qasem Soleimani, who was seen fighting against ISIS in Iraq, that was a fake picture that came out. He wasn't really there.
This is you call boots on the ground?
Well, he has boots and he's the commander of an Iranian armed force.
This guy is trying to help us and other planners from Iran.
I'm not questioning whether he's trying to help you or not. Well, clearly Iran is trying to help the Iraqi government in this particular fight. I'm saying you have no issue with those boots.
We have 2,000 Americans on the ground.
Fine, so you're welcoming
2,000 Americans.
So have you switched your position from a few moments ago where you said, I don't want outsiders, I've got a big 1 million strong Iraqi army?
No, we are talking, see, we have two different things.
This isn't the start of the problems in Iraq. Before ISIS, if you recall, we were talking about Al-Qaeda. So after ISIS, we are also going to end up with this perpetual cycle of new ideas coming out because we have a failed state. We have a failed context.
I honestly believe, I agree with Anas. The ideology is in the back street of Saudi Arabia. The theology is in the alleyways of Saudi Arabia. That is the largest manufacturing plant of jihadists in the world. They're spreading all over the world, gentlemen. You need to fight to face this. You need to confront this. Otherwise, these people are going to disrupt the whole world.
You've made your point. We will come back and explore these points in a moment. Let's go to the rest of our panel. Many observers would argue, including people like former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, that the political and security crisis in Iraq today is partly down to the sectarian policies of former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, your former boss. In many ways, he repressed Iraq's Sunni community, especially in the north of the country, which made ISIL's rise to power all that much easier.
There is a very clear distinction between first government of Maliki and second Maliki government. The first Maliki government was not sectarian. Policies were reversed in the second Maliki government.
But I agree with you. The same Maliki,
by the way, I left government summer 2009.
You left government in summer 2009, and what did you do from 2010 to 2014?
I was trying to influence from the back...
What was your job description?
Well, private advisor, friends to the Prime Minister and to the government.
So you're still there at the heart of it?
No, but I do not have...
I left government and became a private advisor to the same person.
No, but I don't have any influence on the policies. I was trying to... You don't... See, from the Western mentality, you don't understand this.
I don't understand. You can tell us what it means to be an advisor who doesn't get listened to. So why did you stay on for 4 years?
Because this is my new order in Iraq. I defend the new order. I don't defend a particular prime minister. I don't defend a particular government.
Let's look at the new order. Second charge against the Iraqi government that you were national security advisor of is that it unleashed pretty violent and savage so-called death squads against Sunni communities back in 06-07, especially in Baghdad, where hundreds of Sunni corpses started turning up with drill holes in their bodies, bound and gagged. Even today, according to an October 2014 report by Amnesty International, the Iraqi government is, quote, largely responsible for the serious human rights abuses, including war crimes committed by Shia militias that it is armed and backed. That is state-sponsored sectarian violence that you were involved in.
This is not true, and I'll tell you what happened exactly. Baghdad has gone through a very difficult time of every day 6 car bombs against the Shia, and we've been calling, don't respond in a sectarian way. Unfortunately, after the bomb, after the explosion of the 2 mosques in Samarra, things went out of control.
Human Rights Watch in 2007 produced a report in which they said it's not clear whether the ministry, Interior Ministry, controls the militias or the militias control the ministry. Either way, they're responsible for some of the worst abuses in Iraq today. This was not spontaneous. This was state-sponsored.
I cannot deny that. I can tell you that some parts, some formation, and some units of the Iraqi security forces were involved in human rights violation. I have to admit that.
Why didn't you stop them? You were the national security advisor.
But advisor.
So you had no power?
Not director. Advisor.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you had no power to stop them?
Well, no. You basically, as an advisor, as a national security advisor, you put the pros and cons and you give the recommendation.
And the Prime Minister ignored you? Maliki ignored you?
Well, the Prime Minister is a commander-in-chief. He is in charge of the military and the whole country.
So those killings, those people with drill holes in them, it's on Maliki.
When Maliki sits on this chair, you can ask him this question.
Well, I'm asking you. You were his advisor. I'm just wondering what your opinion is.
I gave you my opinion.
Okay. The third charge is that Sunnis in Iraq, under your governments, have been disproportionately targeted by Iraq's anti-terror laws. Hundreds, thousands detained without charge, rounded up, tortured. The former Sunni Deputy Prime Minister of Iraq said no Sunni was exempt. Maliki and his militias could arrest anyone.
Maliki was forced to do this.
Forced by who?
If you have 6 car bombs in the street of Baghdad, coming from this village, what do you do? What do you do?
You tell me, what do you do? Go in and burn down the village?
No.
That's what's happening in some parts of Iraq today?
No. That is not true. We're talking about 2010. See, can you see the mixing in dates?
Okay.
So you need to get your dates right.
So I got my dates wrong in terms of when you were being sectarian.
See, the sectarian, both sides of the divide.
Definitely, both sides have been sectarian. We all agree.
Both sides being, whether who is to be blamed more.
It's not about who's to be blamed more. It's about the fact that you were in the Iraqi government, which you have now admitted behaved in a sectarian manner.
The fact of the matter is, I'm not concerned whether Nouri al-Maliki or al-Abbadi or anyone else is a Sunni or a Shi'i. What I'm concerned about is, are they good politicians? And unfortunately, Dr. Rubi'i, notwithstanding my utmost respect for you, you might have been for many years a national security advisor, but you have been, one way or another, part of an establishment that has presided for 12 years over making Iraq one of the most failed states in the entire world, whether on the level of corruption, politically, security-wise, militarily. Baghdad now, according to the Mercer Index, is the worst city in the world, bar none, to live in. That is something that happened under your watch, Dr. Rabi'i. For you to totally absolve the establishment from any responsibility and to direct it towards people's grievances and people's tendencies and people's reactions to this and that, I'm sorry to say, that is a sign of a failed political establishment and a failed political narrative. The fact is, Iraq is in a miserable state and Iraqis are in a miserable state. You are part of the establishment that created this.
Okay.
Let me bring in George Joffe, who I'm going to guess is neither Shia nor Sunni, and ask him...
That's correct.
How sectarian a government do you think Iraq's political establishment ran in recent years? We're hearing all sorts of claims and counterclaims. Where do you stand on this debate?
Well, my impression is that the government in Iraq became increasingly sectarian after 2006. And I say that because many of the assassinations in Baghdad were related to Shia militias operating out of the Interior Ministry. From the discussion I've heard, I'm struck by two things. One, the way in which positions originally taken are then adjusted. So we were told that the Iraqi army was powerful, capable of taking back control of Iraq. Then we learned that, in fact, it's going to be the Shia militias that do that. And the second thing is that in answer to a question that you asked as to whether Iraq was a failed state, the answer was vehemently no, but then the description demonstrated that's precisely what it is. Okay. So it seems to me that sectarianism and the failed state go together.
No, I disagree with that. I agree there are nothing different.
When you say different matter, now, you were involved in that, though, weren't you?
The American did not prepare for anything before. Because I'm sorry to say, they're short-sighted. They don't have a good planners.
You're not going to get me defending the Americans on Iraq, I can assure you. But you were advising them in 2002. You were meeting US officials. Why didn't you tell them what to do? Why didn't you warn them there'd be an insurgency?
They did not listen to our advice. We told them that from the day...
The Americans didn't listen to you.
They did not.
How many people listened to you?
No, they did not listen to us. They did not listen to us because they left the country post 9th of April 2003 for more than 3 months.
Muwaffaq.
Totally in total vacuum.
Did you warn them there would be an insurgency, or did you say you'll be welcomed as liberators?
Nobody has
people will cheer.
Insurgency. Nobody.
You said no one ever saw the insurgency coming. We have on our panel here tonight George Joffe from Cambridge University. In November 2002, you went to see Tony Blair to talk about the aftermath of Iraq. What did you say to Tony Blair?
Yes, indeed, I did. I went there with 5 other people, 3 of them people who were experts on Iraq, and the others who were strategic experts too. And we informed the Prime Minister that after the invasion, unless he was extremely careful, there would be an insurgency. And we explained to him in detail why. I'm afraid our advice was simply ignored.
Now, if you want to politicize the confession, then that's a problem. That's a sectarian. And who is benefiting? Israel. There is no shadow of doubt in my mind. 10 years ago, you listen to the Arab world, to the Arab media, and it's all Arab versus Israelis, Arab versus Israelis. Now, can you see what is the Middle East problem is? Now, convert from Israelis versus Arabs to Shia and Sunnis.
You've made a pretty, hold on, Marv, you made a pretty dramatic, provocative claim there. George Joffe is shaking his head there. Do you want to come back in briefly and respond?
The simple fact is that I seem to recall that in 1993, the Arab world generally agreed to enter into negotiations with Israel to find a solution to the problem of the Arab-Israeli conflict. So it's a bit difficult to argue that that dominated the Arab media, because it didn't. Many other issues did, and amongst them the issue of Iraq, the Iran-Iraq war, and other related incidents. So I don't think that's